And now, the Rise Above Show, presented by Roofing.com and hosted by Diego Dante.
And we are live with the third episode of the Rise Above Show, presented by Roofing.com. My name is Diego Dante. I'm the host of the podcast. I'm super excited about this episode because this is a special New Year's episode, and we're talking about New Year's resolutions. And I wanted to get the chance to come on the show and do a solo podcast where I could tell a little bit of my story, and we'll have a lot of these in the future, but I wanted to have one specifically come out right before New Year's because people are getting ready to, start on their new goals and their new journeys, and they're examining where they did things correctly this year and where maybe they failed at different things. And so my purpose for this show is to talk about how you can stick to your New Year's resolution this year. So let me tell you guys a little bit about my story and this year, what I've been able to accomplish and how I was able to stick to my goals. So two specific goals that I want to talk about were my two physical goals. So I had a goal that I wanted to get to 250 pounds by September 30th, which was the beginning of RoofCon. And then my second goal was that I wanted to start running 5Ks. And I made that super specific with, I wanted to do 4 5Ks throughout the year. I was going to do one quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I was going to, my goal was for every 5K to be quicker than the previous one. So I was going to do 4. Each one of them was going to be faster than the previous quarter, right? So I started out January 1st, and I went out and I decided, okay, first thing I got to do, I got to start losing some weight. I'm going to start out kind of slow, and my goal was I'm going to run a mile on the first of the year. So I went out, I ran about maybe 3/4 of a mile, maybe 2/3 of a mile, and I ended up, I couldn't run. I couldn't do, I was so out of shape and out of breath. And so I laid on the ground, and, I ended up, I walked the rest of the mile, and I ended up laying on the concrete afterward. I ended up taking a selfie because I said to myself, I want to look back on this moment and think of this as the starting point. And so I did a couple more runs throughout the year, I did a few more runs throughout that week, and throughout that week, it's just, all of my motivation just went away because I didn't have a solid game plan for how I was going to do it, right? So that went on for a few months where I had given up on my goals, even though I just started on them, right? So I gave up on those goals, and I was starting to eat more, and I was starting to gain more weight. I think actually at the beginning of the year, I was probably close to 300, maybe 295, somewhere around there. But I definitely, by March time, I was right at 300 pounds. And so March, my son's birthday rolls around, and he, after work, I meet up my wife and my kids at a Mexican restaurant, and we eat. And I just had a lot of stress, right? So a lot of stress from different things going on, nothing really crazy, but just, I didn't know how to cope with that stress. And so all I knew how to do was just to eat. And so I ate a bunch at the restaurant. I felt so sick, but I drove home in my car. My wife drove home in her car, and I stopped at the gas station. I got some donuts because I was still stressed out. So I'm sitting there eating, and I didn't leave because I wanted to throw the bag away and didn't want anyone to know that, didn't want anyone to find the bag of donuts and know that I was, eating that. And that's when it hit me. I have a really bad issue with this, and I felt like an addict at that point because I was doing things, I was hiding things, I was afraid of people finding out. and that, I was doing these things. And so I decided to get some help, and I reached out to some guys that had dealt with different struggles, some of the guys that are involved in Roofers in Recovery. And I talked to them about my issues with binge eating, and they helped me come up with a game plan to, overcome that. And that was right after my son's birthday. And I thought to myself, I want to do this for him, because up until that point, it had just been, I'm going to do it because I need to set a goal. It's, I am overweight, but it was really just centered around the weight. And having this thing happen to me at my son's birthday made me realize I have to do this for him, because in a year, he's going to turn 5. He's already starting with soccer, and he's starting with basketball, and he's doing all these things, and he's so active. He loves to play outside, and he loves to run on the, jump on the trampoline. And what type of terrible example am I setting for him if I'm not being active, and if I'm not, if I'm overweight? And so I decided I'm not going to do this for myself. I'm going to do this for my son. And that was the first mindset shift that I had. And you're going to hear a lot about this throughout the podcast, of different mindset shifts that had to happen for me to be able to achieve my goals. So that was thing number one. I in March, I started, really, I think it was a few days after that, I ordered a weighted vest on Amazon, a 20-pound weighted vest, and I started running with the vest. And when I got it at first, I started going on these little runs with the vest, and it was miserable, right? So, but I'd started going, and so I ended up running, and a few days after that, I probably did like 2 runs with the vest, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna run my 5K that I need to run this quarter, because that was part of my goal, right? And so I ended up going, and I ran my 5K, and ended up doing it in like 55 minutes or something like that. It was terrible timing, but I finished it, and really with not a lot of practice. And so that started also the second mindset shift of, I just need to go out and I need to try the hard things, because we spent so much time in planning mode a lot of the times, and we spend too much time planning and not enough time executing, right? So we're planning, all right, how are we going to get to run this 5K? Well, how about we just try to run the 5K now and see, if we can accomplish this thing. And then if we're able to accomplish it, how do we build from that? And if we're not able to accomplish it, where did we fall short? How can we get to that point, right? So I ended up running the 5K, 55 minutes or so. And so after that, I think the next day I went and I ran another 5K, and I cut off like 5 minutes, where before that I was just thinking to myself, I don't know that I'll be able to run a 5K yet, blah, 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 blah. But the second you do it one time, it just makes it so much easier to be able to do it the second time. So then I started running a lot more with the weighted vest on. I don't know why I was doing it, other than I saw people working out with the vest, and I thought to myself, this is going to make it hard. It's going to make the workout harder for me, and so it's going to help me to lose the weight. Because mind you, by this point, we're in April, so we're like 5 months away from that September 30th, which was my goal, to be able to lose the 50 pounds, right? So I ended up that, in April, I ran a lot with the vest, probably doing a few runs a week, and then I'd be in the gym working out. And then in May, we went to the REVOLT member retreat in Utah. And in Utah, I spent time with these guys that were doing the Murph workout. They were doing Murph 30. That was the challenge that they were doing that month. And Murph 30, every single day for the month of May, they would do the Murph workout. So if you don't know what the Murph is, the Murph, you do a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, another mile run, and you do it all wearing a 20-pound vest. So they were doing that every single month, or every single day of the month. And I came in and I wanted to just, in my mind, if I could get to the point where I could do one of those, then that would be awesome. And that's what I wanted to do. But here I am in May, maybe 275 pounds or so. And these guys are telling me, hey, we want you to come out and do the Murph with us. So I said, all right, I'm going to go. But, I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to accomplish. I actually had my 20-pound vest on with me. I flew out with it because I was still running with the vest. And so so I did the Murph with them, ended up doing it 53 minutes. And so that was an incredible mindset shift as well, because I realized that I was cutting myself short and I was cutting my abilities short. And I thought to myself, maybe I'll be able to do that one day in the future. But the second I realized, hey, I can do this thing right now, then this opened up my mindset to, well, what else can I do, right? So I started, when I got home, then I started doing the Murph every day I did it for like 10 days in a row. I did the Murph. And then the next month, me and some guys, we did a fundraiser called the 100 Mile June, where every day for the month of June, we ran about 3.33 miles is what it added up to. So it's a little more than a 5K every single day. We did it and we raised money for charity. And so by the end of that, it was an incredible full circle of, hey, at the beginning of the year, I wasn't able to run a single mile, but all of a sudden now that I've opened up this, my mindset to what I'm able to do, now I'm able to run. I just ran 100 miles in a month. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't open myself up to what I was capable of doing. And then the next month after that, I was in the gym every day, just kind of doing weights and stuff. And then in August, we ended up doing a challenge where we did 100 burpees a day. It was probably the most miserable challenge. I don't know if that one was any worse than 100 Mile June, but we did 3,100 burpees. And then in September, I was so close. I think I was 8 pounds away from hitting my goal at the beginning of September. And so I went really hard at it. I said, I started doing the Murph every day again. And my diet that month was like nothing but boiled chicken and boiled sweet potatoes and boiled green beans and no salt, nothing. And I was so determined that I was going to hit my goal. And so that day that September 8th, I woke up, I was 3 pounds away, and I said to myself, I'm going to reach it today. And so I did a 4-mile run that morning. I didn't have any water. This was not safe. I don't recommend this for anyone, but I did a 4-mile run. Then I came in, I weighed in, I was at like 1 pound away or 1.5 pounds away. And so ended up, I hit up Hunter and I said, hey dude, today's the day we're going to hit it. And so we ended up going back out for a second run, still no water, still no food. And again, super unsafe, but I was so determined that we are going to hit this goal today because I have too much momentum at this point, right? So we went out, we did another run. I put on like a black trash bag, the weighted vest. I put on a black hoodie, and it's like 100 degrees outside, right? So middle of summer, and we went out, we did another 4-mile run. So by this point I've ran 8 miles, and I ended up coming back in. By the end I was dizzy, my vision was blurry, like I was not walking straight, all this stuff. And ended up coming in, weighed in at 247. And all that, that day was just an incredible day because, again, thinking of how I was able to accomplish that in one day, where at the beginning of the year, I wasn't able to run a single mile and I was so out of shape. And if you saw my post on Facebook, you saw that photo of me sitting in or laying on the concrete that first day to the comparison of now. A few days ago, I went on a run yesterday, and I just did a 5K that now I'm used to doing, right? And so I did a 5K with a weighted vest, and I did pretty good timing on it, and so another mindset shift happened with some of the books that I read. So I read the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and in the book, I got the biggest takeaway from it right before the book even started, in the introduction, where he says he gets so many people that tell him that they're inspired by a story and they want to go out and accomplish things because they're inspired and they're motivated. And he says that motivation is crap. And so he says that you need to be obsessed with reaching your goals. You can't be motivated, because a motivated person is going to they want to go running, and they'll open the door and they'll see that there's snow outside, and they'll just go back inside and lay down, where a person who's obsessed with their goals is going to go inside, they're going to put on a jacket, and they're going to go run, right? Because they're so obsessed with hitting their goals. And this isn't, something I came up with. This is something I read in a book, but this is something that shifted my mindset. And the second thing the second book that I read that really kept me going strong was Relentless by Tim Grover. And in it, he talks about turning on the dark side. And two incredible books. If you haven't read these, I was listening to these audiobooks while I was running and while I was doing these crazy intense workouts, and so having books like these that can keep you going and can keep you obsessed with your goals, of people that have become obsessed, with the Tim Grover book, he's telling the story of Michael Jordan and Dwayne Wade and Kobe, and these people that become obsessed with the thing that they're trying to accomplish, right? Or the David Goggins book, how he became obsessed with reaching his goals. And when you find people like that, that's the thing that kept me going a lot, was, feeling like I was, even though I've never met either two of those people were mentors to me from far away. And I listened to a lot of, I was following the Iron Cowboy story that was happening, his 100 consecutive triathlons happened while I was doing 100 Mile June. And so I would, read his posts beforehand of, what he had done the previous day. And those kept me obsessed with reaching my goals. And really, I guess the big thing is, how do you apply this to anything else? Because maybe you don't have physical goals that you're trying to reach the way I had, but maybe you have business goals, or you have goals with your family, whatever it is, right? So the biggest thing that I would recommend would be set yourself 5 goals for this year, at least 5 goals. But maybe you can have more, but at least have them in 5 different categories. And you have your physical goal, you have a personal goal, so that's something that you want to accomplish for yourself. Because a lot of the times we do everything for other people. We do things for our family, our kids. We say, our kids are the reason we do everything, and that's awesome. We definitely should do things for our family, for our kids, and that's actually the next one on my list. But we don't take the time also to do things for ourselves, and that's when we burn out, when we don't have a reason to keep going for ourselves. And so set a personal goal of something that you want to do for yourself that year. That could be, hey, I want to buy myself a new car. I want to do XYZ, something that's strictly for yourself, right? That's also not your physical goal. So your physical goal, you have a personal goal, you set yourself a family goal. So for me, it was, I wanted to take my family on 2 vacations this year. You set yourself a work goal. So that way, you have, I want to make this salary. I want to, achieve this at work, whatever it is, right? And then you set a community goal as well of how you're going to give back to the community. Because in my mind, nothing matters if we're not then turning around and doing things for the people that can't help themselves. So, or who need our help. So again, those 5 were physical, personal, family, work, and community goals. I encourage you to set one of each at least, and then find people that are going to keep you accountable. I had a group text where every single morning I'd post my workout, and those guys would call me out if I didn't do what I said I was going to do. I'd get called out. I mean, I got to give major props to these guys, because a lot of these guys, I dragged them into this, but they kept me accountable, and I mean, guys like, Matt Danskin and Dylan Mullins and Sean Clare. I mean, those guys kept me so freaking accountable to reaching my goals, and I'm just so thankful that I have people like that in my life. So find the people that are going to keep you accountable, because the other thing that happens is we have people that have what I'm going to call mom syndrome, and obviously, we love our moms. My mom is great, but the problem is that when we back out on something like working out, you have the person that has the mom syndrome who is going to say, it's okay, sweetie, we'll do, XYZ. Well, it's okay if you didn't achieve that goal. And that doesn't help. You need someone who's going to keep you so extremely accountable. You need someone who is going to call you out on your BS if you don't reach your goals, if you don't do the things that you promised you were going to do. And so having that accountability, setting a date for when you're going to achieve those goals, and then become obsessed with reaching those goals. If you do those things, I promise you that you're going to be able to accomplish your goals for the next year. So guys, I know it's been a little bit of a ramble, but I wanted you guys to hear, that story from me, how I was able to accomplish my 2021 goals. I'm super excited and setting my goals for 2022 right now, and already thinking about, who's going to keep me accountable to each individual goal that I have. And I just want to encourage you guys to do these things and to spend more time executing than you spend planning, because if you spend more time planning, it doesn't matter how great the plan is if you don't go execute. So guys, I appreciate you guys. If you stuck around the whole time, I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the people that have listened to the other episodes. I have a lot of really cool episodes coming out. We interviewed Ryan Groth from Sales Transformation Group. He's out of Hawaii. He met us up at a REVOLT retreat, and he used to be a professional baseball player, has an incredible story, and so I got to sit down and chat with him. I got to sit down and talk with Aaron Brookins and Brandon Allen of Brookins Construction out of Wisconsin, and I sat down with Reggie Brock. We were just both panelists at an event in Dallas, Texas, What's Stopping You, that was hosted by Jonathan Sherwood. And so I got a really cool opportunity to speak at that event, and I've just got a lot of really cool episodes coming out. And so for anyone who's been listening to these episodes, there's a lot of great content coming out, but I encourage you guys to, with these episodes, to don't just listen to these things and think to yourself, wow, that was a great episode. I want to know how you're going to make changes in your life, how you're going to apply these things. So please shoot me a message. If there's something you're working on that, you need help with, shoot me a message on Facebook. Let's chat. I want to help you to achieve those goals. So, maybe I'm not going to be the person that's going to keep you accountable, because, but maybe we can figure out a plan to find those people, to set those goals properly. I want you to be able to achieve your goals. So anyway, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time on the next episode of the Rise Above Show. Peace.